Works good. So yeah, still moving on without the girls. We have things to do. I split up the last two sections, section 7 and 8, into two parts, which is why it's taking longer. I could probably squeeze it into one day, but I'd rather take my time. So we're going to solve absolute value inequalities today. It's kind of like introduction, so they're not as complicated. Tomorrow, there'll be more stuff with it, basically. So we should first start with, what do we remember about absolute values? Okay. So I just remember it changes to a positive. What else do we know about it?
If it equals a negative number, it has no solution. If it equals 0, it has one solution. And if it's positive, it has two solutions.
Okay. I'm trying to decide how that will. So with inequalities, I don't think I'll ever give you a negative solution one, just because it's a little more confusing with an inequality, I guess. So with absolute value inequalities, I'll probably always give you a positive, so you always get two solutions out. Does anybody remember what an inequality is? Yeah, so we have four options. So I could solve the absolute value equation. Okay. Yep. So typically we'd solve for x. A and B would just be like random numbers, and there could be more numbers in this inequality, but I didn't want to make it that confusing. So technically, how would we solve an absolute value equation? If it was an equation, not an inequality. Okay, so my b is positive, so I said equal to positive b and a negative b. So that is how I would do this guy. But my sign switches, so with a positive b, the sign stays the same, so it's less than. When I change it to negative b, the inequality flips with the sign, so it's greater than now. So that's one thing that's going to change with inequalities. When we change the sign, we change the inequality. The other piece with this is we're going to graph absolute value inequalities. So if you ever have less than or equal to, this is technically an and inequality. And with ands, where did we typically shade? Remember our compound inequalities with and. Yeah, we shaded in the middle. And then if the inequality starts with greater than or greater than equal to, it's an or inequality. Which, so if it's not middle for and, then it's on the outside, is where we're shading. So it's kind of like tying up into everything that we've been doing. Inequalities that we started in the first chapter. And then section 6 was all about absolute values, so now we're kind of combining it together into one lovely hot mess. Oh, we're go. Are we good? Okay. So here's this one. I would like to solve it. So either you can start by saying, is it an and or you can write your two like inequalities down to solve absolute value. So if it's greater than or equal to, is this an and inequality or or? So I know I'm shading the outsides at least. And then if I want to get rid of the absolute value, I have to write two inequalities down. What is one of those?
X is greater than 2, x is less than
Yeah, so we said equal to positive 2, negative 2. Positive 2 keeps the greater than or equal to. Negative 2 gets the opposite sign of less than or equal to. And when you write your answers, I want to see the correct word that should go in between it. So since it was greater than, this is an or inequality, not and. So make sure you write the correct one. This one can't even solve it, but we can still graph it. We have negative 2, 0, 2. So do we have circle or dots? Dots, because it's equal to. And then are we shooting outside or inside? If you didn't remember what or was, you could look at the inequality sign. So at the 2, the arrow is pointing to the right, and negative 2 is pointing to the left. So it is the outside. Not too shabby. Here's another one.
So do we have to graph it every single time?
Yeah, I think I told you to graph in the directions. All right, how do you want to start this one? Okay. What are the inequalities I can write down? Yeah. Looks great. With and, you don't need to like write it together like we did when we were learning about it. You just write the word. But we have negative 4 and positive 4 with 0 in between. Circles or dots? Circles, inside or outside? Okay. So we have 2 more. Okay. So is this an and or an or inequality? I heard somebody say and. Because it's less than, so it's an and. And what are the 2 inequalities that I could write down?
X is less than -5 and X is greater than
Kind of not quite. I want to write it down with like the +6 without like solving it or anything. So I could write it down without the absolute value. And then and, doing the same thing but setting it equal to a -1. And then it switches the sign. So if you set it up this way, you do get out -5, but you don't get out +5 when you do it. Because we subtract 6 to both sides. Yeah. So then we have -7 and -5. Circles or dots. Circles. And then inside or outside, my 2 points. Inside. Okay. So this last one I'm going to make you do it by yourselves. Just to see if you have it or not. And then we bracket. Looking good so far. So I'm gonna say most everybody got x greater than or equal to 10, and then or x less than or equal to 8. I didn't see everybody's number lines, but I have 8 and 10 dots and shading outside. Okay, so that is it. So that's homework tomorrow. Same thing as always. Carry on. Monday, Tuesday, starting section 8, which is like back to graphing lines and boxes.
Math.
Yeah.
Go through that.
That's fine. Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing.